Chapter 26: The Digital Age. We can never predict with certainty what the future holds. Indeed, it would have been difficult to forecast the effects of the digital technologies that I'd alluded to in the last chapter. It may seem unusual to be talking about digital technology and tracking in the same breath, but even though tracking is one of the oldest skills that mankind developed, and the digital age is the latest in our development, there can be great benefits when the tracker harnesses the strengths of IT. In the last decade, the effects of IT on all aspects of life has grown exponentially. This chapter is dedicated to showing how IT can be used to enhance the tracker's value. The 5 major areas that will be covered are social media, satellite navigation, technical hardware and drones, digital imagery, data storage, and analysis. To a certain extent, these 5 main areas are interrelated, but the division into these 5 subjects enables the tracker to see how digital technology can assist him. Social media. The main benefit of social media, SM, for the tracking community is the possibility of sharing ideas, insights, and experiences with other trackers. Before the digital age, the spread of knowledge was far slower and patchier. Much of the knowledge bank of tracking was passed on by word of mouth. Nowadays, new developments can be shared around the world in seconds by interconnected networks. Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, and many others can be used to set up groups of like-minded people and share your knowledge. You can also collaborate on tasks such as monitoring wildlife activity. In effect, you can produce a tracking team. An area can be parceled up with responsibilities given for various geographical areas and times allocated. In this way, the data collected can be shared on the SM platform. These platforms are ideal for sharing still images and videos, which can be used for training purposes as examples in support of military tracking operation or wildlife tracking project. A highly valuable aspect of the ability to share and communicate is the speed with which it can be taking place. This can be vital in wildlife protection schemes, allowing them to track poachers. An important factor to bear in mind with the use of any SM platform is security. When you share information, you have to ensure that the audience with whom you're sharing is the one that you feel comfortable sharing with. Is the information confidential? Can it be of use to the enemy? Or is it sensitive in any other way? The following links are categorized. Some of the categories overlap. They show the variety of websites that are available to the tracker, though it is by no means an exhaustive list. Outdoors education. ouroneacrefarm.com / how to get started tracking animals 16 tips resources. Man tracking for the military and police. celascouts.tripod.com / tracking _ countertracking.htm. bear-tracker.com / humans.html. Conservation. twitter.com / wildlifepete. BritishNatureGuide.com, ElephantsWithoutBorders.org, JournalistsResearch.org / studies / government / criminal justice / animal poaching ivory technology extinction. Tracking skills. Outdoor action. .princeton.edu / nature /guide animal tracking. wildwoodtracking.com. wildernessarena.com / overviews animal tracking signs guide. wildernesscollege.com / tracking animals 2.html. bear-tracker.com / the paw principle.htm. Survival. realworldsurvival.com. That's realworldsurvivor.com. outdoorlife.com, practicalprimitive.com, Animal Tracks, ussartf.org, survival.org, oyccweb.com, wikihow.com/track-animals, wolfcollege.com, jakes-bones.com, wildlife-cam.co.uk/animal-tracking.htm, hecc.co.za/2015-007/a-guide-2-tracking-animals-in-the-wild. Technology applications: survival.org, inews.co.uk, wildlifeact.com, geographical.co.uk, cybertracker.org, nhptv.org, rewiresecurity.co.uk, blog.nature.org/science/about-this-blog, wildernesscollege.com, natureconservancy.ca/en/blog/by-what-they.html. The links above are included to give the reader an indication of what is available on the internet. I do not necessarily agree with the views and opinions expressed on these sites. They cover many aspects of tracking and help to give you an understanding of the role tracking plays in a variety of other fields. For example, the world of the conservationist, the law enforcement officer, and the survivalist, to name but three. The student tracker can use these resources to learn new skills, and the expert tracker can keep up to date with the latest developments. Satellite navigation. Another advance brought about by the digital age is the development of satellite navigation, SatNav. This is often referred to as a global positioning system, GPS, but GPS is in fact a specific system rather than a generic system and refers to a satellite-based system owned by the United States government. The technology for GPS has been developed from early applications in the 1960s through the 1980s to a fully fledged system being in operation in the early 1980s. GPS is under control of the U.S. military, and they can deny access to the system on a regional basis as they see fit. A generic sat-nav system, just like GPS, uses satellites to provide positioning. Radio receivers in the sat-nav process the signals they receive from satellites to determine their 3D location, longitude, latitude, and elevation. The receiver must have an unobstructed line of sight to the satellites. Having access to an accurate position is a great aid in the practice of navigation and will enhance the skills that you have read about in Chapter 20. But the crucial point is that sat-nav is only an aid to navigation. The reason it should only be treated as an aid is because a sat-nav can fail. It can fail or become inoperable for one of several of the following reasons. As mentioned above, it can be turned off by the controlling authority. The power source fails. The battery is damaged or dies. The device is damaged. Although many are ruggedized, that does not prevent all types of damage. The sat-nav does not have line of sight to the satellites, and it must be able to see at least 3 to provide an accurate location. The software fails. Therefore, it is unwise, if not extremely dangerous, to rely solely upon sat-nav. Having made the preceding caveats, it must be said that because the sat-nav can be used for providing position, it fulfills 2 important roles that are applicable to the tracker: navigation, tracking animals, and anti-poaching. I'll deal with each of these uses in turn. Navigation. Sat-nav as an aid to navigation. Sometimes even the most expert map reader will become misplaced. Using the word misplaced is not a euphemism for being lost, but indicates that the navigator knows approximately where he is, but not within a few hundred meters. This situation can happen for one or more of the following reasons. The mapping is old and therefore imprecise. Features have changed since the map was published. Lack of concentration by the navigator due to tiredness or being distracted. A sudden loss of visibility due to nightfall or fog. When the navigator is misplaced, he has to regain his bearings by one of several methods. Taking back bearings with your compass at 3 prominent, unmistakable features. Retracing your steps to the last known, certain position. Orienting your map on landmarks. And now there is a fourth way. Use the sat-nav to provide you with an accurate position. Sometimes it is easier and quicker to get the position from the sat-nav, and then use this as your known position and start point for the next leg of your journey. To be able to do this, you must ensure that your sat-nav is using the same map datum system as the map you are carrying. The datum system will be found on the map's legend, and within the sat-nav there will be a menu that allows you to select the corresponding system. Before venturing forth, check that the map and sat-nav are using the same datum system by selecting a known point. Most sat-nav systems have the ability to download mapping onto the software so that the device has its own map, and along with its ability to keep getting an accurate position, you can simply follow where you are on the sat-nav screen. This can be very handy when following a track. You are getting a continuous update as to where you are without having to waste time navigating. The machine is doing the navigating hard work for you. But be careful, taking into account the 5 potential ways in which the sat-nav can let you down that I listed above. Any wise tracker is continually aware of where he is on the map as well as what the sat-nav readout is. Sat-nav systems are independent of other communication systems such as telephones or the internet, but when coupled with either or both, the technologies, the benefits, and usefulness of the sat-nav to the tracker are greatly enhanced. Tracking animals. The skills of the tracker are increasingly being turned to less aggressive roles and employed by conservationists and law agencies that are tasked to protect species such as elephants and rhinos. There are 3 aspects to these projects. First, there is the tagging of the animals with locating devices. This is, in effect, attaching a sat-nav device to the animal that also has a transmitting device. By doing this, the sat-nav is greatly enhanced because the target animal can now be remotely monitored. The monitoring of the animals then allows the second part of the conservation project to take place. That is, their routes and habits can be recorded digitally and collated with what happened in the past. Third, this allows the conservationists or the anti-poaching units to build up a picture so that they are able to protect the endangered species. Anti-poaching units employ many aspects of digital technology. They use drones, webcams, sat-nav tracking devices with transmitters, IT data recording and collating. All this 21st century technology is being deployed along with the skills of the traditional trackers to conserve the planet's endangered species. The technology cannot prevent the poachers hunting down and killing the animals, but it allows human trackers to be deployed faster in pursuit of the poachers. Technical hardware. Radio communications. The digital age has seen vast improvements to communication. The spread, ease of use, security, weight, and quality of signal are the main ways in which communications have improved. All these advances help with the efficiency of the technologies mentioned above and help the modern tracker in his work. Without these advances, drones, webcams, and the sat-nav tracking devices would be too bulky and too heavy to deploy in the field to support the tracker. Drones. Drones, or unmanned airborne vehicles, UAVs, have greatly enhanced the effectiveness of anti-poaching units, mainly in Africa, but also in South and Central America and the Caribbean. Wildlife poaching is said to be the 4th largest illegal trade after drugs, human trafficking, and counterfeiting. It has brought some species almost to the point of extinction. As well as the species that attract a great deal of publicity and attention, rhinos, elephants, tigers, and gorillas, there are many lesser-known species that attract poachers because of the demand for their body parts in certain traditional healing practices. Drones are not only able to be deployed on anti-poaching operations, but also to monitor population numbers, track animals that have been tagged with tracking devices, record migration data, retrieve images from camera traps, identification of species, survival breeding results as in nest surveys. Fixed-wing anti-poaching drones can carry a variety of sensors as listed in the next paragraph. Many anti-poaching units now use a combination of fixed-wing and quadcopters. The long-range drones are used to acquire strategic overview. The smaller drones can be used in threat areas. These can be operated by on-the-ground rangers, but this sort of usage can compromise the anti-poaching unit's position. Every drone will have an inertial system that maintains its flying altitude regardless of wind and thermal conditions. The drone will also have an internal sat-nav receiver which tells the aircraft where it is and where the cameras are looking at all times. Sensors. There are usually 3 types of devices and sensors that the drones carry: webcams, infrared, thermal imaging sensors. The cameras often have zooming capability. They are mounted on gyro-stabilized gimbals, which keep the cameras pointing at the same location regardless of the roughness of the ride due to thermals or heading changes. Command centers. When the drones have trawled the operational area, crisscrossing and performing all the elaborate maneuvers that they are capable of, the data has then to be downloaded. This is the qualitative difference between years past and now as we launch tracking into the digital age. The data, whether it be images from still cameras, video cameras, infrared sensors, thermal imaging sensors, or from sat-nav tracking devices attached to animals, is then downloaded either wirelessly through a phone or radio links, or it is downloaded directly from the drone's return to base. Whatever happens, all this intelligence gathering has to be commanded, controlled, coordinated, and communicated. To carry out these tasks, command centers have to be set up. These can either be mobile or fixed. Command centers employ principles developed in the military, even if they are in support of benign conservation project. But when they are deployed against heavily armed poachers, they are in effect military operations. The command center's roles are many. Amongst them are the following: deciding on the mission statement, selecting the area or areas to be monitored, selecting the target or targets, designating the most efficacious flight paths, choosing the right mix of sensors, establishing the communication system, controlling assets, UAVs, helis, and fixed-wing, positioning the rangers of the anti-poaching units, deploying the rangers in reaction to an incident, executing the intelligence cycle. Depending on the live data of the wildlife movements and those of the potential poachers being fed back in real time, and because all the above command and control functions are co-located in the command center, the commander can react. After analyzing the data, he can instruct the UAV pilots to alter their flight paths, or he can use whatever transport he has available to deploy his rangers to counter the poachers. And as most poaching happens at night under a full moon, the infrared cameras and thermal vision cameras carried on the UAVs are essential. All data is stored and analyzed with the latest analytical tools to assist with future missions and to understand patterns used by the poachers. Some of this digital analysis provides predictive capabilities for the commanders. It is from the enhanced position of using digital analytical tools that the intelligence cycle can be executed. The intelligence cycle of the modern digital commander uses a model based upon these 5 functions. 1. Find. 2. Analyze. 3. Fix. 4. Strike. 5. Exploit. The use of advanced digital technology in anti-poaching and animal conservation operations made them, in effect, military operations. The militarization of the anti-poaching effort is manifest by the involvement of an Israeli private military company, PMC, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Central African Republic, the French-backed African Wildlife Defense Force, AWDF, and the fact that the British Army in 2018 was reported to be on operations alongside the Malawian armed forces on anti-poaching operations. I was personally involved with colleagues in a PMC and training an anti-poaching unit in Botswana. Digital imagery. Digital imagery is another of the qualitative steps made in the digital age. Digital images are the product of the organization and hardware listed earlier. These images are either stills or videos. They can be live or historic. Cameras are said to date from about 4 to 300 BC. This technique was called camera obscura, but there was no method of preserving the image until 1816 when Nikifor Nipic invented photography. He preserved the image of using paper coated with silver chloride. And this, in essence, was the way the photographs were made using analog technology. The spur to the developing techniques to capture images electronically came about as a byproduct of space research. The logistics of having to have film on board satellites was a complex and expensive procedure. To overcome the need for film, a piece of technology called the Charge-Coupled Device, CCD, was invented. This was first deployed in space in 1976. To give a sense of the speed of technological progress, the first digital camera weighed over 3 kilograms. It only recorded black and white, and it took 23 seconds to capture an image. This was in 1975. But the main explosion in the development of digital imagery for everyday use did not occur until about 2005, after the first edition of this book was published. Because of the rapid and large impact on tracking, it was therefore judged necessary to update this book with this additional chapter. So, to recap, the difference between an analog camera and a digital camera is that the former uses film that needs to be developed and printed, and the latter captures the image electronically and stores it either on a memory card or in the camera's own memory. The electronically captured image can then be transmitted in all the ways that have become familiar to the citizens of the digital age: radio, phone, Wi-Fi, and internet. A digital camera, or digicam, captures images digitally. Most cameras produced today are digital. It is worth noting, though, that although there are still dedicated digital cameras, many cameras are now incorporated into other devices. The most common that people are aware of is their mobile phone, but there are webcams, cameras attached to vehicles, and a multitude of surveillance cameras. As a 21st century tracker, you must be knowledgeable about digital cameras and photography, and especially the advantages associated with them. Being aware of the advantages opens your mind to the strengths of digital photography and how it can help you in tracking operations and projects. So here's a list of the advantages of digicams along with the advantages of digital imagery. Film processing is eliminated. Copies can be made without loss of quality. Storage is electronic, huge and compact compared to having cabinets of slides or albums full of photographs. Operating speed is greatly enhanced, and therefore you are much less likely to miss a shot. Preview facility allows you to check the image and possibly retake it if it needs improving. Picture-taking software in the Digicam allows you to select the best option from menus varying from mountain scenes to low-light night scenes. Motion detection systems avoid blurry images. Editing menus allow you to crop, alter the lighting, and other features, all helping you to produce top-class images. Sharing options allow you to transmit the images almost instantaneously to wherever and whoever around the globe. Video capture is usually an option. Sound can be used to capture the background noise of the scene or to append your comments and notes to the image. But there are some limitations that you should be aware of. Storage has to be taken account. Although it can be used, you can reach the limit, especially when using the video and high-definition functions. Battery power has to be monitored so that you do not run out of power when you need to take a picture. Robustness. Some digicams are not ruggedized enough for the environment that a tracker might find himself in. Complexity of some digicams does not encourage their use in a tracking scenario. You need something that is fairly intuitive, and you should familiarize yourself with all the main functions before taking it into the field in support of a tracking task. Data storage and analysis. In the pre-digital age, the information that the tracker gained was recorded in a notebook, on a mini cassette voice recorder, or on film in a camera. These records of the information then had to be physically taken back to the base, where the information from the notebook and the cassette player had to be transcribed and typed out, and where the films had to be developed and prints made. All these time-consuming, laborious processes delayed the analysis of the information and the subsequent generation of the intelligence reports for operational military, police, and anti-poaching trackers. As I mentioned previously, the intelligence cycle of the modern digital commander uses a model based upon these 5 functions. 1. Find. 2. Analyze. 3. Fix. 4. Strike. 5. Exploit. These stages give an operating framework for the intelligence cycle, and the tracker's information in the digital age can be a timely input into this framework. This is a model that creates a system that allows the tracker's information to be used more effectively. Let's look at the 5 functions and how the tracker fits in. Find. The tracker is probably most valuable in this first phase. The digitally trained and equipped tracker team can now relay images of prints with a time bracket and direction of travel to the command elements. This may be far more effective than the tracker following up and alerting the enemy to the fact that their movements are being monitored. It could lead to finding larger formations or equipment caches. Analyze. In the digital age, image processing has become more useful than analog image processing because when tracks are found, they can now be fed into the system with a long-term view of their value. For instance, image adjustment and enhancement. Digital image can be sharpened, zoomed in, colors adjusted, and contrast altered. Facial recognition techniques. Tracks can be collated using the equivalent of facial recognition technology. The prints left by footwear and vehicles can be digitally analyzed to identify personnel and vehicles when clothes and number plates are changed. In counterinsurgency operations, when the enemy is trying to hide within the population, these digital techniques will help to unearth them and also to provide links into their networks of supporters. Patterns of behavior can be identified. All this information can be collected, collated, analyzed, and reported so that the command element can be more effective in the 3 next phases: fix, strike, exploit. Fix and strike. Again, the tracker teams can be deployed in the fix and strike phases. They will be made available to follow up on any who escape or who are allowed to escape, or on the results of any intelligence gleaned immediately after the strike phase. For instance, if captured documents give new locations, the trackers can be deployed to see if there is recent, interesting activity. Exploit. During the exploit phase, as discussed in Chapter 19, the tracker teams will be most effective if they are using a combination of visual and scent trackers. Conclusion. The main lesson to be learned by the tracker in the digital age is that he has not been made redundant, but exactly the opposite. His value has been enhanced through the effects of and the interrelationship of these digital elements: social media, satellite navigation, technical hardware and drones, digital imagery, data storage and analysis. If the tracker is embedded as an integral part of a professional tracking response, whether it be military, police, anti-poaching, or conservation, his traditional skills will add value in the following ways. His information is available to the commanders far sooner than in previous years. Imagery is available in formats that can be communicated quickly. Data is available in digital and binary formats that lead themselves to computer analysis. Paradoxically, as technology has progressed, it hasn't left the tracker without a role. It has increased his value because the information he gleans can now be fed into the system almost instantaneously and help the commander make decisions based on up-to-date information. I will finish this chapter with some up-to-date examples of how tracking and the digital age work together. First of all, to stay left of bang, as the U.S. Marine Corps would say, and cut down the casualty rate from IEDs in Afghanistan, the British Army employed trackers to train them in identifying the signs that it could indicate that an IED had been laid. Second, oil companies protecting their pipelines from illegal tapping have fiber optics and flow meters to indicate that a tapping operation has taken place, but then deploy visual and scent trackers to follow up and finish the job. And third, a sophisticated anti-poaching response with the data analysis gained from the trackers can help the local authorities establish sustainable community affairs programs to help the community move away from poaching and develop other sources of income. And so we look forward to the next set of developments for the tracker and his community. It is a timeless skill, the value of which will not diminish but will be enhanced by new technologies. Let's see what's along the track. Summary. Features of the digital age relevant to the modern tracker: social media, satellite navigation, technical hardware and drones, digital imagery, data storage and analysis. Social media. Good for sharing information. Be security aware. Who are you sharing with? Sat-nav advantages: navigation, in conjunction with tracking devices fixed to animals. Sat-nav disadvantages. It can be turned off by the controlling authority. The power source fails, the battery is damaged or dies, the device is damaged. Although many are ruggedized, that does not prevent all types of damage. The sat-nav does not have line of sight to the satellites, and it must be able to see at least 3 to get a fix. The software fails. Technical hardware. Communication devices, UAVs, sensors, command centers. Digital imagery advantages. Film processing is eliminated. Copies can be made without loss of quality. Storage is electronic, huge, and compact compared to having cabinets of slides or albums full of photographs. Operating speed is greatly enhanced, and therefore you are much less likely to miss a shot. Preview facility allows you to check the image and possibly retake it if it needs improving. Picture-taking software and the Digicam allows you to select the best option for menus varying from mountain scenes to low-light night scenes. Motion detection systems avoid blurry images. Editing menus allow you to crop, alter the lighting, and other features, all helping you to produce top-class images. Sharing options allow you to transmit the images almost instantaneously to wherever and whoever around the globe. Video taking is usually an option. Sound can be used to capture the background noise of the scene or to append your comments and notes to the images. Data storage and analysis, the digital commander system. Find, analyze, fix, strike, exploit. Benefits of the tracker in the digital age. His information is available to the commanders far sooner than in previous times. The imagery is available in formats that can be communicated. Data is available in digital binary formats that lend themselves to computer analysis.